سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله.
يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. قل لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله ولو كنت أعلم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء إن أنا إلا نذير وبشير لقوم يؤمنون.
There were 16 ayat in Al-Quran Al-Kareem that mentioned the hour and asserted that no one knows when the hour will strike. Now Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us that there are minor signs and there are major signs. The concern of this presentation is about some of the major signs of the approach of the hour. And one of them is that the sun will appear from the west instead of the east. The sun will appear from the west instead of the east. And the hadith related through the authority of Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam about this is very clear. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam is reported to have said that when the hour approaches, two nights will join each other and the people will wake up from the first night to see that the night is not over yet, and they will be terrified and they will be scared and they will find that the sun did not come out, and another night came, and then two nights will appear in a row, and then after that the sun will appear again, but this time it will come from the west instead of the east. Again, I remind myself and I remind my sisters and brothers that whatever I will mention from science that people really put as the absolute truth when we know it is not, but what we know from science is the following. What is happening is that the earth has been rotating around its axis since the creation of the universe. In the beginning, our earth used to complete one complete circle around its axis in 4 hours. It used to be very fast, and it has been slowing down since then. Now it completes one rotation around its axis in 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. And scientists know that the speed is going to diminish. The earth is going to slow down up to a point where it will not be able to support any more decrease in its speed. When that will happen, the earth will behave like a spring, that you rotate in a certain direction up to a certain point when you cannot really wind it any further in that direction. Then if you leave it, what will happen? It will start to rotate in the opposite direction, and the earth is going to do that. That's what scientists tell us, that the earth is going to slow and slow up to a point where it cannot, because of its mass, slow any further, then it will stop briefly and will start to rotate in a clockwise fashion. And guess what will happen when that takes place? And guess what will happen when that takes place? And guess what will happen when that takes place? The sun will appear from the west.
It will take place on a Friday, as the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said, the best day on which the sun has risen is Friday. On it Adam was created, on it he was put in paradise, on it he was removed from paradise, and the day of judgment will occur only on it. All of the righteous are removed. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had said a wind would come and take the souls of all the righteous human beings remaining on the earth, and the Qur'ans would become blank, and only those who were the most wretched would remain living on the earth. And at this point, when the name Allah is no longer mentioned, the day of resurrection will begin. And it begins with the blowing of a horn or trumpet.
That's the first thing. After all this, after all the major signs have occurred, the blowing of the trumpet will occur.
The Prophet ﷺ said that Allah Azza wa Jal had created an angel. His name is Israfil. He's the angel that assigned for the day of judgment. Where Allah Azza wa Jal had put a trumpet in his mouth. This trumpet is like a horn. The Prophet ﷺ described the trumpet as a horn. It's in the mouth of Israfil. It's narrated that the circle of that trumpet is as big as this whole world. The circle of the horn is as big as this whole world. And the horn is probably 2% of the size of the angel. So imagine how big the angel is. Who created him? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How did Allah create him? By 2 letters. Kun fayakun. Be, and it was. Where does the angel stand? He's standing in a place where Allah wants him to stand in. He's in a position no one knows but Allah Azza wa Jal. Described by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that the angel Israfil is carrying the trumpet in his hand, in his mouth, just staring at the throne of Allah, waiting for the order of Allah Azza wa Jal to come down, where Allah orders him to say, blow a trumpet, and his land is whole world ends. So where's Israfil now? He's standing. In what position is he standing in? He's got the trumpet in his mouth. What is he doing? Staring at the throne of Allah. Waiting for what? Waiting for the order of Allah Azza wa Jal. Just ready. It's like a button. And this whole world will end.
The Prophet ﷺ has further told us that from that day, the angel Israfil has never bowed down. He has never blinked, fearing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may order him to blow into that horn before he's able to raise his head, or before he is able to complete his blink. Therefore his eyes are fixed upon the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, waiting for the command to blow.
The narrations mention that he's scared to even blink his eyelids. Why? Fearing that the command might come and he misses it.
On that day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, O Israfil, blow into the horn. The hadith of Abu Hurairah continues by saying, the angel Israfil will blow into the horn and continue to blow in it, and he will not get tired or require any rest. The sound from the horn will be so terrifying that all those in the heavens and earth will be traumatized upon its sound, except for those whom He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wishes to be spared from that terror. It has been reported in an explanation of this, that when that sound comes, the people from whichever situation they're in will be paralyzed, as if And from that point, everything will cease, which they used to call reality. Everything will cease, which they used to call reality. Everything will cease, which they used to call reality.